Attention all buyers and sellers, brace yourselves for a potential seismic shift in the San Diego real estate landscape. President Biden's latest proposal could send shockwaves through the market, impacting investors, homeowners, and renters alike. Stick around as we unravel the implications of this game-changing development. Fannie Mae drops their economic developments for April 2024. I'll share with you their updated projections on market trends affecting the housing market, as well as their Fed funds rate outlook. Inventory update. Nationally, we're seeing a rise in the number of homes for sale, but buyers here in San Diego may not feel that way exactly. I'll give you the full report on our inventory trends of where we stand compared to national numbers and what you can do to take advantage of the market right now. All this covered in today's San Diego Market Matters. I'm Karl, your San Diego Realtor. Let's jump into it. President Biden's 2025 budget proposal includes the largest capital gains tax in the last 100 years. A proposed 44.6% capital gains rate coupled with California taxes would push this over 50%. Now, this tax is proposed to hit only those that make over $1 million a year in income. With California, specifically San Diego prices, hitting over $1 million in income could be very possible if someone was to sell off a property they held for a really long time. Californians are already burdened with some of the highest taxes in our country, along with excessive homelessness, roads, and what seems like endless businesses closing due to either high taxes or high theft. Now, Biden wants to take even more from us. As one of the highest contributors to the economy, you would think that California ought to have better incentives for its residents to stay in state. So how will this impact real estate, and more importantly, how will it impact us here in San Diego? Consider this: based on the 2022 consensus, about 46% of homes in San Diego County were non-owner occupied, meaning that they were rentals or they were vacant, but most likely they're rentals. At the moment, to qualify to not have to pay capital gains on a property you own, you have to have lived in the property 2 out of the last 5 years. Real quick, let me interject here. I am not a qualified tax accountant, nor is this professional tax advice. If anything I say here is of significance, be sure to check this with your personal qualified tax accountant. Out of the 46% of homes being rented, there is a chance that this bill will disincentivize a lot of investors from selling if it took their income over $1 million. And then there's probably a number of other investors that will interpret this tax proposal absolutely incorrectly, thinking that it will apply to them when it won't, and they won't sell either. Put yourself in the shoes of these investors. For many investors here, those rentals are their ticket or their sustenance for retirement. Take half of it and they may not be able to retire as they had hoped or planned for. It would probably be the case that only those who absolutely had to sell would sell. The rest would hold and continue to collect rent.
But Karl, all that equity is tied up in the property though. What good is it if they can't sell and access it?
Well, that's a great question. They can access it, and here's the workaround. Investors can do a cash out refi or a home equity line of credit, aka a HELOC, and borrow against the property. And guess what? The government doesn't tax you on that money because it's essentially only a loan. This is how the rich get around paying taxes. Bottom line, this new capital gains tax proposal could very well impact real estate inventory because investors would be highly disincentivized to ever sell. They would hold, collect rent, borrow against, and pass the property on to the heirs. So 46% of San Diego County real estate could potentially be locked up. Truthfully, regardless of what tax scenario the government passes, some will eventually sell for some reason or another. Now, let's move on to the next topic. Fannie Mae drops their economic developments for April 2024, and all sorts of revisions are being made based on the new data. The major line in the report: the interest rate environment looks increasingly to be one of higher for longer, and interest rate cuts appear to be on hold for now. Now sit tight and hang with me on this. I'm gonna go through this report and then put it into context for you with regards to the real estate market. Fannie Mae revises their GDP growth expectations up slightly from 2025. This is due to the GDP growing higher than estimated in Q4 of last year. Revised forecast for Q4 of this year is slightly higher than previously, so more growth on the horizon. Next, the labor market shows some promise with unemployment coming down to 3.8%. As you see here in the graph, the new forecast has taken this drop into account and revised their forecast for unemployment into 2025 to be a bit lower. And lastly, inflation. To summarize, inflation isn't doing what they had hoped. Persistent stickiness, meaning that inflation is fighting our attempts to bring it down. Now, despite the last 2 CPI reports being higher than expected, Fannie Mae still believes that inflation is trending downwards. It's only doing so at a slower rate than expected. Their new revisions suggest that we will sit between 2 and 3% all the way through 2025. With all this being said, GDP growth, lower unemployment, inflation sticking around higher than we expected. Fannie Mae previously expected the Feds to cut rates 3 times by the end of 2024, the first cut taking place in June. New expectations are 2 cuts by the end of the year, and the first taking place in September. And lastly, inventory is on the rise nationally, and with that, more new listings. This could be an incentive for some owners to finally come to market and sell their home. Since COVID, a major concern for homeowners wanting to move was being able to find the next home to move to. And since inventory was so low, the fear of selling and not finding the right next home stalled a lot of homeowners from ever coming to the market. As you can see here, Housing Wire reports that new listing inventory is over 68,000 compared to the last 2 years, where new listing inventory was closer to that 60,000 mark. This is good news, and hopefully it will continue this way and the whole country will follow suit. As more homes come to market, prices may get under control soon enough. Now let's see if San Diego is following in line or if we're beating to the sound of our own drum. In March of 2023, we had 2,622 new listings come to market. In March of this year, we had 2,903 new listings come to market, almost an increase of 300 homes, and it comes out shy of about a 10% increase. Okay, so that was March. Now for April. April of 2023, we had 2,406 new listings come to market in San Diego County. Based on the numbers I pulled, and this could change a little, but only a little, we're at 2,673 new listings in the month of April this year. So it's less listings than March of this year, but it is more listings than this time last year. This is despite elevated rates. We can go micro if we want, and we can look at the weekly data for the month of April. We went from 473 the first week to 519 the second, then 580 in the third. For the last week, I pulled the numbers and 637 new listings came to market since April 20th. That's growth in listings week over week. Now this is really, really good news. And if we keep this up, there may be some hope for buyers to experience an inventory friendly market by the end of the year or maybe even early next year. An inventory friendly market meaning that buyers have more options to choose from. Please don't mistake this data to suggest that by waiting for inventory to come up, you will get a better price come the end of the year or early next year. Though that is possible and appropriate according to economics, our inventory is still low compared to the number of buyers in the market. Also, keep in mind that most sellers are also buyers. So depending on where you enter the market, you may be entering at a price point with more buyers that will have a strong down payment from the sale of their home. Despite the increase in inventory, prices are still increasing. In March, the median detached price hit $1,050,000, while the median attached sales price landed at $670,000. Can you believe that? I remember back before the 2008 world financial crisis, we used to say that you couldn't get a detached home for less than $500,000. Now I'm having to tell all my buyers to be prepared to pay close to $1 million if they want a detached home. That's a wrap for this week's San Diego Market Matters video. If you found this information valuable and you want to stay ahead of the curve in the ever-evolving real estate market, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And if you're ready to make your move here in San Diego, whether buying, selling, or investing, reach out to me today for expert guidance tailored to your needs. As always, I'm Karl, your San Diego Realtor. I'll see you next video.